Your old buddy George Karl certainly making the rounds, and you've been pretty outspoken about this. The contents within the book, first of all, pertaining to you from what George said, anything erroneous? Anything you wanted to clear up? Did he speak out of turn with anything?
Well, I actually haven't read the book. I don't even know what he wrote about me, but I presume it's not positive in any way, taking into account my relationship with George, but I've spoken to George since I played with him, and I thought that we had buried this hatchet. I didn't know that this was going to come up again because I've never really spoken about it since probably '97. I haven't said too much about him, but I don't know what he said about me, but it's unfortunate that he wrote the book and he came out against a lot of different players. I understand, and also he came out with, from what I understand, PED use amongst my fraternity, which we don't take too kindly because I don't think that there is PED use in the league. Back when I played, it was a possibility because we only got tested one time a year, that being in October, right when you went to training camp. And now, from what I understand, they have 4 random blood and urine tests per year. So it's virtually impossible for that to happen and for players not to be detected.
You know what I don't get, Kendall? And you're right, I'm not trying to be a wise ass here, but he certainly was not complimentary in the book. And the thing that jumped out, he said you weren't a good teammate. And, boy, you talk about the fraternity, the brotherhood, the guys you played with, the guys you played against, that mutual respect. For a coach to label, if that was a tag that was left in my doorstep, he wasn't a good coworker, that would bother me. That would really bother me.
Yeah, I was always a good teammate, always played within my team. As a matter of fact, George Karl himself said that I was too unselfish to become a superstar. He told me that. And from now, what you're telling me, that he said I was a bad teammate, I take that personally. Yeah. You can ask anybody I've ever played with, was I selfish? I was never any of those things, and for him to come out and say that about me is simply wrong. And, let me tell you something. George Karl is, to me, a brilliant coach, okay? As far as X's and O's go, he, to me, was one of the best I ever played for, okay? I love this system. If I was ever to coach again, I would go back and break out my Seattle tapes and use some of the offensive and the defensive schemes that he put in his system. However, I think he's a horrible person, and I vowed to myself never to say anything about him again, but seeing now as he's brought up these things and continues to lie about me, here some 20-something years later, I'm not going to take it sitting down, and you can put me on record for that. I mean, I understand that he's talked about maybe 20 players in his book, but you tell me this: how can he have a problem with everybody? And everybody can't be wrong.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Fair. Huh?
So somewhere along the line, George Karl has to look in the mirror at himself and ask himself, why do I have problems with all these players? I thought that the comments that he made about Carmelo Anthony, Kenyon Martin were totally off base. It's none of his business about their upbringing.
The fathers, yeah, about the lack of
about
that.
their fathers. Those guys are solid players. Those guys are solid teammates. Been great for the NBA. You shouldn't say things like that about them.
Yeah. He also disparaged Ray Allen.
Yeah,
You're right. There were a lot of names.
I know Ray Allen personally. Okay, Ray Allen's a gentleman, the ultimate gentleman. How can you have problems with Ray Allen? That's the question that I'm asking.
Yeah.
But hey, it doesn't surprise me that George put this book out.
Yeah.
I thought I was going to talk to Kendall Gill with us here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio.
Kendall, you talk about him being as a person, and obviously he's a great coach. Is that enough in the NBA to keep you around, just being a great X's and O guy? Because he's been coaching as a head coach since 1980. Well, not anymore.
Back in the day it was.
Yeah, but, I mean, if he was that bad, how did he hang around for so long? Obviously with stints in Denver and Milwaukee before he went back to Sacramento and Seattle. I mean, he was a long-tenured coach. if no one liked him, how the heck did he stay around so long?
But look, the guy can coach. Like I said, I mean, flat out, he can coach. And when I went to Seattle, I didn't have problems with him my first year. I had problems with him my second year. And the reason why George and I had problems is because going into my second year, he somehow told the press that I asked for guaranteed playing time. Well, I said, well, listen, how can I ask for guaranteed playing time if my contract is already signed? And by the way, I would never ask a coach to do that. I'm from Chicago. I'm a blue-collar worker, okay? We don't ask for anything here. We earn our keep, so that's totally opposite of the way that I am, And, I think that George starts off good with his players, but somewhere down the line, he starts being George and messes up his team, And I think I think he should be a Hall of Fame coach, but always he seems to get in his own way by disrupting his relationships with his players.
Kendall, I'll tell you, it's pretty big of you to be able to separate, what he was as a coach from the other stuff. I think that's a good look for you. It's classy. We're talking to Kendall Gill here on Tiki and Tierney, CBS Sports Radio. My opinion, kind of what Tiki just asked about now and being able to function that way, to me the answer is absolutely no. Because back in the day, not that you controlled players because they were still grown men, but they were making 16, 18, 20, 25 million bucks a year. If a guy like DeMarcus Cousins decides to poison the locker room, George Karl's gone, not DeMarcus Cousins. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, that is. But back in the day, we didn't have guys like DeMarcus Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins is tremendous talent, but sometimes he does things, on and off of the court that, you question. Hopefully he can get those things together later on. Hopefully he can mature a little bit. But, that's the thing with George Karl. Like, he didn't have to deal with guys like that back when I played. Obviously, he had to do it when he was the coach of the Sacramento Kings. But you're absolutely right. The players run the league, especially now with the humongous contracts and everything. So as a coach, you really have to get along with the players, but be an authoritarian at the same time, which is a tremendous balance. I don't know how some coaches do it. Now, you look at Popovich, coaches like that, coaches like Phil Jackson, they don't really have to deal with that because they're tenured, they won championships, and, they come with a lot of credibility. But, younger coaches, they may find that balance a little bit difficult.
Kendall, how is your Fred Hoiberg? You're the Bulls analyst now, and you're seeing this situation develop with Rajon Rondo. What's going on with that relationship? Because it feels like it's a relationship thing more so than an on-court thing, unless I may be wrong.
Yeah, I really don't know because all I do is, I'm around, but, I'm not in the workings of, practice and shoot-arounds and things like that. But from what I can see as an analyst, I think Fred Hoiberg wants Rondo to push the basketball more. And because if you watch the Bulls closely, they're a great team, and they can beat anybody when they push the ball up and down the court, when they have between 25 and 30 assists a game, when everybody is sharing the basketball, and they have maybe 4 or 5 guys in double figures every night. Since the Bulls have been struggling, they've been playing like half-court basketball, and that's something that and Rondo hasn't been pushing the basketball like the Bulls need him to. If he can get back there, I can see him getting back in the starting lineup. But what Rondo has to do is understand that he cannot pound the basketball, and he cannot continue to hold it and run the offense himself. I think that sometimes maybe from watching him play that he feels that he needs to hold on to the basketball and be the general most of the time when he doesn't need to do that.
Yeah, but you know what, Kendall? And this is my view from the outside looking in, but I think it's going to be somewhat accurate here. I mean, what you described, that's a basketball defect or basketball issue in terms of not running, bit of a ball stop or pound the dribble. I get all that. But let's be honest. I mean, this guy's also been a surly, disconnected, at times bad teammate. And unless he had Paul Pierce and KG to kick him in the ass and keep him in line, he's always been a pain.
Yeah, I mean his history. I mean when that happens with one team, okay, maybe you could give a guy a pass. When it happens with two teams, maybe. But when you go into your third, fourth, fifth team and it's still happening, then I could see some concerns as far as that. As far as his personality is concerned. But from all the reports inside the camp, he's been professional. He's accepted his role coming off of the bench for now. Let's see how long that lasts. Hopefully, he will have learned from his past experiences and get back on board with the system and try to counteract the stigma that's been given to him. I think that he has the perfect opportunity to do that.